I'm going to preface this with, I do not do scripted videos. It's very rare that I've ever done any. And I actually didn't even write a script for this. I'm just saying things. So, a lot of people have been complaining about the first boss from Spire, of the Watcher, being recycled from Garden of Salvation. Now let me take you back. The first dungeon, right? Shattered Throne. Okay? The first boss in that, it's just a big taken ogre. That's all it is. It has Axion darts, and that is it. That's recycled. Nobody was mad about that. The boss, it's a weirdly designed wizard. Not an original concept. It's not an original boss. Let's go to Pit of Heresy. There is one boss. You wanna know what it is? A big knight. It's a big knight. That is it. The other quote-unquote bosses that you could consider would be what? The invincible ogres that you can't kill, that are just regular ogres? Whatever. Then we go on to Prophecy. What is the first boss in Prophecy? A big taken phalanx. It's just a big taken phalanx. The final boss in it, what is that? It's a big taken captain. That's it. So far, we had two dungeons that were both just taken, first of all, and the bosses were just bigger taken. 2 out of the 3. Every boss to that point had been either taken or hive, and just a bigger version. Let's go on to the next one. It was the Loot Cave one, right? I'm blanking on the name, but the Loot Cave one. What was the first boss in that? Another big ogre. No special mechanics or anything. It can throw acolyte grenades. Ooh, that's it. That's all it was. It was just a big ogre that could throw grenades. What was the final boss? Another captain? So far, when looking at bosses in these dungeons, we have had big ogres and captains with one wizard and one knight. That's it. That is it. And people are complaining about this now being a thing? Let's go on to duality. What did they do? They brought Galron back. Galron from the Crown of Sorrow raid. That is all that was. Nobody said anything then about, recycled boss. Yeah, Crown of Sorrow is a much more highly regarded raid. But it's a reused boss. To this point, we had not had a single unused prior asset. And then we had Keitel. Do you know what that was? It was just bigger Keitel, who we have seen throughout the campaign, constantly. Nobody, yeah, it's an original boss, it's an original enemy type, but we'd seen her 1,000 times over. So we get to this dungeon. The first boss. It's a boss we've only seen once. It was a raid boss, much like Galron. But the thing is, this wasn't the last raid boss. But arguably the better of the 2 bosses of that raid. Because that was an original model at the time. It wasn't just, big Minotaur. I don't see why that was a problem. Yeah, they could have done something better with the opening animation for it. With it, sucking the Minotaur. I don't know how to phrase that better. But other than that, it was a once used boss. Whereas every other dungeon boss had been used repeatedly, with the exception of Galron. And then we got our first original dungeon boss. First time a boss had been its own original thing, where we hadn't had another boss of that type. We'd had Minotaurs, we'd had Knights, we'd had whatever Galron is, Bathers. We'd had all of those things when they had been put into the dungeon. We've never had a Wyvern boss in Spire the Watcher, like Spire the Watcher has. So I don't know why people are so heated about the whole reused bosses thing. And also, I don't know anything about game making. I don't know how hard it is to design a boss. You probably don't either. So I'm not gonna speak on how difficult it is to design and implement a new boss. The thing is, it's the implementing mechanics. And yeah, the mechanics are a little bit simple. It's okay, I go to end of line, I shoot end of line, and then I go work my way back. It's simple, but it's better than having Gambit again, which, what was Prophecy? It was Gambit, and it's one of people's favorite dungeons. What was the mechanic for Shattered Throne? What was the mechanic for Shattered Throne? Could you tell me? Could you even tell me what it was? There wasn't really much of one. The main mechanic for Duality was a completely original thing. The main mechanic for Grasp of Avarice was it was pretty much Gambit again. We had 2 dungeons back to back that were pretty much Gambit, and nobody complained. So I don't see why this is an issue. Like, this was different. They reused a boss that had been used one time, and so yeah, people hate that raid. People hate that raid. Like, Garden, not a good raid. I think everybody can speak on that. It was Gambit the raid. But the problem was that people got mad about them reusing a boss one time and then creating an original boss for the first time in a dungeon. I just don't understand.